Hello, this is Tanya from Linda Love Coaching, trying something a little bit different. So welcome to my video on Where's the Date? Before we get really into that, let's talk a little bit about fantasy relationships. And why are fantasy relationships easy to understand but hard to avoid? So those of us who have come to the rules because of our past painful experiences can read the concepts and understand most of them quite well. And we say, yes, that's where I went wrong, and I'm going to implement that into my life straight away. I'm never going to do that again. But when you're actually in this situation of a fantasy relationship, it's hard to detach yourself because it feels so real. It's hard to believe that this is one of those fantasy things I read about. So let's go back and remind ourselves of what exactly is a fantasy relationship. It's anything where you have some fantasy playing out in your mind between yourself and a man who is not your boyfriend, fiance, or husband. He could be at the gym, at work, he could be your doctor or your lawyer, he could be the electrician that came to fix your lights. He is any man who's made himself a prominent part of your reality because you feel like he has a thing for you. Right, so the guy at the gym, he seems to consistently pick that specific equipment that happens to be right beside you. You might be working out, minding your own business, but you can feel his eyes on you from afar, and next thing, he's right there beside you on that machine he surely doesn't need to be using at this particular point in time. You might be salsa dancing, and again, there is a man who seems to be watching you from afar the entire time. Every time you happen to glance in his direction, sure enough, he's looking. Or a man dances with you and makes you feel like the only one in the room. Your work colleague or boss who seems to be moving in a vicinity closer to you than you think should be necessary. As a single woman, you're vulnerable. It makes you feel good. Your pulse increases with anticipation. The endorphins work their way throughout your body. It's exciting. You're sure that he's flirting with you, and you're feeling a clear energy from him that wouldn't be happening if you were invisible to him. The excitement, however, inevitably leads to pain because it never seems to go any further than this. The guy at the gym is still smiling at you when he catches your eye. Your boss is still standing way too close for just a simple working relationship. But here's the question that I have for you. Where is the date? That's it. Where's the date? Okay, if it's the first few days or couple of weeks and very early on, maybe he hasn't plucked up the courage to ask you out yet. But ultimately, I still maintain, where's the date? It's such an important question because if your answer is there is no date, then he does not exist. As painful as this reality can be at first, it keeps things very simple and accurate. As a single woman, it's so painful to realize your time is being wasted. You've been getting the highs of an adrenaline rush from the attention he's giving you, and you know he knows very well what he's doing. But soon it leads to a somewhat crushing blow because he never actually does anything about it. He's quite happy to continue the flirtation and the vibes he's putting out there. You might say, well, what should I do in this situation? He might be shy, He might be still plucking up the courage to ask me out. He might feel like he's overstepping the mark. Well, here's my answer to that. If it's been several weeks and he hasn't asked you out and it's causing you a tremendous amount of angst, then if you don't need to be near where he is, then avoid him. Go to the gym at a slightly different time or change gyms entirely. Get to know the routine of when you seem to be around this fantasy man and avoid. I've consulted with girls where this kind of thing has been going on for so long, it's starting to really make them depressed. You know, it starts to make you feel like you're being rejected, but it's not exactly true. In fact, it's not true at all. You're not being rejected at all. Just get away from him. Okay, so if removing yourself from the situation isn't possible, perhaps what I'm about to say is enough to snap you out of the fantasy anyway. So keep listening. First of all, you need to talk yourself through it by asking yourself this question. Where is the date? If there is no date, then he's dead to you. Don't let him get to you. Okay, so what to do? First of all, he is dead to you. Secondly, talk to like-minded women who understand fantasy relationships and who don't offer really bad advice that you want to hear but is only going to prolong your agony. For example, oh, maybe you should ask him for a coffee after work, or see if he's got a girlfriend, or why don't you drop some hints, or you should walk by his office so he can see you. Look, there is so much terrible advice out there, and more often than not, it just leads to you making your feeling obvious to a fantasy guy and then being instantly mortified and deeply regretful that you took this chance that you'd been encouraged to take, but deep down you probably knew it wasn't going to work. But you're not alone. Most women, including me, have done this at some point. So that was number one. You've asked yourself the question, where's the date? Number two, men will waste as much time as you are willing to let them waste. I don't mean to sound harsh. They don't see any harm in this. It's just a bit of fun. Little does he know the anguish he's putting you through by not asking you out. And sometimes they do know they're getting to you and are getting a little bit of an ego trip from it. So reframe it. Instead of getting on the high as he moves close to you or smiles that sweet smile just for you, remember, he will waste your time as long as you let him get to you. Some women spend weeks, months, even years hoping that these fantasies will come true. And you know what it comes down to? It's hard for them to believe that they would actually do this. I often have women say to me, well, why would he? Why would he do that? And they never follow through. I'm here to tell you very simply, they will waste your time for years if you let them. And here's the point. If he's into you and wants to get to know you better, he will ask for a date. You won't be able to get rid of him. You don't have to do anything. No hints, no big smiles back, no initiating coffee dates, absolutely nothing. And don't get fixated on the why. Only think about where the date is. And here's the bottom line. If there is no date, he does not exist. And like everything in dating, please don't take it personally and definitely do not feel rejected. Your man will fight for you and not give up on you. So wait for him. Anything less than that is just not even worth your headspace. So thank you for watching. I hope it helped. Please leave some thoughts and comments below. I'd love to hear what you have to say. So until next time, bye for now.